Hello everyone, welcome back to the next video. In this video, I will show you how to create an Android plugin to integrate Google Play Integrity API in Godot game engine. So let's get started. So if you don't know what is a Play Integrity API, it is basically used to tell fraud detection. So suppose you have a Godot game for Android and you want to assign or give some coins to the user based on what all stages he has passed inside your game. Now it could be that the game has been downloaded it from a pirated website or a software. So how to detect that? So in that case, Play Integrity API comes into the picture. So with the help of that, you can verify whether the game has been downloaded it from Google Play Store or it has been downloaded from pirated website or something like that. So yeah, let's get started. Now firstly, ignore this file which I have created. It is basically a cheat sheet which I have created because there are a lot of steps involved. We also need to create our own backend for this. So yeah, so let's get started. So firstly, one more thing which I want to tell you is I think there are 10,000 requests per day which are in free tier for Google Play Integrity API. Above that, you might have to purchase or fill out a form to tell Google that you need more API request per day for Google Play Integrity API. So if you have billions of users, you will have to pay some amount, I think, upfront to Google so that they can enable or increase this quota for you. But anyways, in our case, we don't require that. Second thing, you also need to deploy your app to Google Play Store. So for that you need to have access to Google Play Console. For that you need to pay $10 to Google, and it gives you lifetime membership. So yeah, you would also require that. So firstly, we'll have to go to Google Cloud project or Google Cloud platform, and here we'll have to create a new project. So just click at the top, click on new project. You can give it whatever name you feel like. I'll give it as Trailcraft. Yeah, feel free to give whatever name you feel like, and I'll just click on create. Now let's just wait for this project to create. So here it is creating. So once the project is created, just select your project. So here it should show your project name in the drop down. Then you will have to click on API and services. Let's just wait. Yeah, here you will have to click on enable API and services. Then here you just have to search for Play Integrity. Click enter. Here is our Google Play Integrity API. Click on it, and we need to enable this. So I will just enable it. So let's just wait for this to finish. Okay. Then we need to go to project settings and get the cloud project number. So okay, so this is done. The API has been enabled for me. Then just click on these three dots, go to project settings, and here is my project number. So I will just copy this project number. We will be using this project number later on inside our Android plugin. So I will just go at the very bottom and I'll just paste this project number. I'll be using this later on. Okay, again I'll come back. Then we have to go to this particular URL to create a service account. So I'll just open this URL. So here you will have to click on this enable the API button. Then over here make sure your proper project is selected. So my proper project is selected. If not, then here you can just click on this on your drop down and select your proper project. Then click on next, click on enable. So let's just wait for this to get enabled. So this has been enabled as well. Then let's see, then we have to go to this particular URL. So I'll just open it over here. Okay, so the next thing is, again, make sure your project has been selected in the drop down. Then you will have to click on IMA and admin. Let's just wait. Then here you will have to click on service accounts, click on create service account, and here you can give whatever name you feel like. I'll just give it as my service account, give it some proper name. Then click on create and continue. Here you will have to select a role. I'll just use currently used role owner, and again I'll click on continue. And here you don't have to do anything, this step is optional, so I'll just click on done. Okay, once this is done, you will have to click on this three dots, click on manage keys, and here you will have to click on add key, create a new key, and here we will select type JSON and click on create. Now this will download a JSON file for you. So here you can see it has downloaded a JSON file for me. I will be using this file inside our backend application, so make sure you have this file kept safe somewhere. Okay, so we are done with this. Now the next step which we will do is we will create a backend application. Now what I will do is I will be using Next.js. Now if you are familiar with Next.js, you might be knowing that this is not a backend application. This is not a backend framework. I mean, it is a full stack framework with React.js. But the reason why I'm using Next.js is because firstly, it is created by a company called Vercel, and they provide free deployment for Next.js. Now this is not a sponsor for Vercel. You can use any backend framework you feel like, so I'm just more comfortable with Next.js. And the second thing is they provide free deployment. We need to deploy our backend framework somewhere. So given that Workcell for free tier does not ask for credit card and debit card, that's why I'm using it. But you are feel free to use whatever backend framework you are comfortable. You can use Node.js with Express. Like when we will be creating API routes in Next.js, it similarly follow the Express.js paradigm. So if you are already familiar with Node.js and Express, you will feel right at home. But you are not restricted for any backend framework. You can use Java, Spring Boot, or whatever, C#, .NET, Golang, Rust, whatever comes to your mind. But I want to keep things simple. And given that deployment with for a Next.js application is very easy with Vercel, that's why I'm using it. Okay, so first what I have done is that inside my downloads folder I have created one simple folder called play integrity. Inside this I will be creating our backend framework, our Android project, as well as our Godot game project. So just for organization's sake I have created this folder. You don't need to create it. So what we'll do next step, we'll just open our terminal. I will cd to the play integrity folder which we have created. I'll clear everything out. Next we need to run this command to create a Next.js application. So I'll just paste it over here, but I will remove this and I will just name this as my backend. Okay, now I will open this. So it will ask me for a few questions. So I want to use TypeScript, I want to use ESLint, don't want Tailwind CSS, I want src directory, I want app router, I don't want turbo pack, I don't want import alias. So this will now create a project for us. This will take a bit of time because it needs to install node modules. So in the meantime I will just open the project inside VS Code. So I'll just go to play integrity, and here is my project. I will just open it inside VS Code. Now I will paste my cheat sheet as well. So now to create backend API or REST routes in Next.js, what you will have to do is you have to go to src, you have to go to app folder. Inside app you have to create a folder called API. You have to name it as API. Don't rename it whatever comes to your mind. Have to name it as API. Inside API you can give a folder, what folder name, whatever you feel like. I will name it as users. Okay, it's better you follow what I'm doing, because we need to call this API endpoints inside our native Android plugin as well. And if you name it something else, you might make some mistakes and get confused later on why it is not working for me. So I think it's better you follow what I'm doing. So inside users, so suppose once we deploy our application, suppose my base URL is xyz.com. Then to call this API, all I need to do is xyz.com/API/users. Okay, now inside users we need to create a file called route.ts. It will have two API endpoints. One is get request, another one is post request. So what we will be doing inside our Godot game engine is we will be creating two buttons, one to call the get API, second to call the post API. Now the get API, what it will do is it will create a hash on the backend side and send it back to Godot side. And once we do that, For calling the post API, we will be sending the hash which has been which we got on our Godot side. Send that in the post request. Sorry, we won't be sending that hash. We will be generating a token out of it and sending that token to the post request, and the post request would validate that token whether this app was installed from Google Play Store or not. Okay, now what I'll do is I'll just copy some code and come back. Okay guys, so I have written down all the code, so I'll quickly explain it to you. But before I show you guys the code, we need to install this particular library inside our Next.js application. So here you can see I can just cd to my Next.js application. I'll clear everything out. Okay, and I'll just install this particular library. So once this this library has been installed, so first we are importing Google Auth from Google Auth library. Now VS Code is not okay. Yeah, so finally it has reflected those changes. So we are importing Google Auth from Google Auth library. This crypto is from Node.js. Then this path is from also Node.js, because we need this path for loading that JSON file which we have downloaded. That's why. The next thing which we have to do is we have to create, so I have created, so this is how we create a get API endpoint inside Next.js. So here is my secret key. If you want, you can put this inside environment variables as well. Here I am creating a timestamp. Then I am using the crypto package from Node.js itself. We don't have to install it using npm. That is present by default inside Next.js because Next.js uses Node.js. And here we create this hmac passing our secret key. Then we update, so the inside app data I'm just passing the timestamp, and this is my digest of hex. Then I'm just returning this hash. Whenever this API is called from our Android plugin, we will be sending this hash. Okay, then here is our post request. So with the help of this hash, we will be generating a token, and that token would be sent to this particular post request. Then we require the key file path. So this is the JSON file which we have just downloaded. So I will just go to my downloads folder, and here you can see this is my JSON file. So I need to drag it to the root of our application. Okay, so here it is dragged and dropped. So I can just write dot slash trailcraft. So here it has given me the IntelliSense. So trailcraft dash 443809 dash this is my file name, right? So whatever is your file name, you will have to write it over here. Now we require the package name. So to get the package name, we have to first open Godot game engine, and we'll have to create a Godot project. So I will just browse to the play integrity folder which we have created. I'll just name it as my Godot project. You can name it whatever you feel like. No, I will not name it as my Godot project. I'll name it as Trailcraft. Okay, I mean, you can name it as my Godot project, but the reason I have giving it a proper name, because we need to deploy this to Google Play Console, and I don't want my app to get rejected. That's why. And now I'll just click on create and edit. So let's just wait. So first I'll just go to project, install Android build template. I'll click on installed. So if you are doing this for the very first time, you will also need to download it. I have already downloaded it, so it directly installed it for me. Then go to project, sorry, not installed. Go to project, export, click on add Android, click on this fix import, click on this option. Then we need to export it as AAB, because that's what we need to update, upload to Play Store. Okay, target SDK. So at the time of me recording this video, I am using Godot 4.3.0 because Godot 4.4.0 is still not out. And also the max HDK version of Android currently is 35, but Godot 4.3.0 still targets 34. So I will manually change it to 35. This is fine. Like, I know I'm not doing anything crazy, so I think Godot 4.4.0 will target HDK 35. So yeah, whatever is the latest Android HDK version, you should use that. And here main HDK, I will change it to 26. Okay, because our Android plugin will be targeting from HDK 26 and above, because I'm using Android Studio Ladybug. That's why I think 26 is fine. Then here I will just select all these devices. Okay, then here we have to give the package name. So give a proper package name. So I will just give com.coding with nobody trailcraft, sorry, trailcraft. So I need to use this package name inside our backend application. So I'll just close this for now. Okay, I'll just save it. I'll come back to our VS Code and I'll just paste it over here. Okay, then we need just create an object of Google Auth. Then we create a client. From the client we get the access token, and here we call this particular API endpoint. So here you can see I'm doing the fetch call. So this is a thing in JavaScript where you can call an API. So I'm just passing the URL. It is of type post request. I'm passing the access token in authorization, and here we are passing the token which we get from our Android plugin to this API, and then whatever is the response I'm returning it back to Android side or the Godot side. And do remember this, while returning the response we are using the message key, so we'll have to use this message key inside our response whenever we are getting the response. Same message key I'm using for get request as well. Okay, so do remember this. Okay, I think that should be it from this side, backend side. Now how to deploy this? All you need to do is just create a GitHub repository, push all this repository code, the backend code, to your GitHub repository. Then like me, if you have created Next.js application, then you can just go to vercel.com. If you haven't already signed up, you can just sign up with GitHub. And then it will show you an option to import your GitHub repository into Vercel. So you can just select the repository which you have created for your backend application and import it, and it will automatically deploy and give you a base URL. So it will be some random base URL depending on your project name on GitHub. So something like, so suppose my repository name is ABC, so it will something like abc.vercel.app. Now to call that this particular API, I will have to use abc.vercel.app/API/users. Okay, they might change this base URL later on, but when you deploy it using Vercel, they tell you what the base URL is, so you don't have to remember this. Okay, so I will again, I won't show you the deployment part. It's pretty easy. I don't want to make this tutorial too long. So just create a GitHub repository for your backend framework, deploy it, and if you want to use Vercel, use it, or you can use another cloud provider like AWS, GCP or Azure, whatever you feel like is okay, good for you. Okay, so I'll just deploy this and come back. Okay, so I have done the deployment for my backend framework. The next thing is you will have to open Android Studio, and here you will have to click on new project. We are now creating an Android plugin. Also, one more thing is, if you want, you can refer to this particular documentation. Again, I have just created one cheat sheet based on this particular documentation, so don't get confused. If you want, you can use this documentation. So again, here inside Android, here I will select empty views activity. If you want, you can select empty activity as well, doesn't really matter. Then click on next, and here I will just name this as my Android project. The package name doesn't really matter. If you want, you can change it, but I'll keep everything as default. Then again, I'll go to play integrity. I'll open this, and here again I will need to paste this so that it creates a separate folder for my Android project. And here you can see the minimum SDK is 26. So whatever you have used over here, same needs to be changed it on Godot side as well. So if you go to over here, that's the reason I changed 26 over here. Otherwise again you will face issues. Then again I'll click on finish over here, so let it do its thing. Now this will do Gradle sync, and this will take a bit of time for it to create a project. Okay, but if you see over here, I'll come back to my cheat sheet again. I'll just close this. So this is the cheat sheet for creating an Android plugin. So next thing is we just have to create a module. So let's just wait for this Gradle sync to finish. In the meantime, what I'll do, I'll just go back to my Godot project. I'll go to 2D scene, and I will just create some UI as well. I'll quickly save this. Okay, I'll run this as well so that my starting scene is selected. Okay, I'll go to project settings. No, we don't need that. So here I'll just create 3 buttons. Now why I'm creating 3 buttons is, like I mentioned, we will be deploying this to I don't think we require 3 buttons. Okay, sorry, we require only 2 buttons. Ignore what I said. So I'll just create 1 button. I'll duplicate it, so 2 buttons. I'll just expand those 2 buttons. So here is my button 1 and here is my button 2. Okay, I also need one more label, so I'll just create a label as well, and here I will create one label. So the label is only to show you the response which we get from the post API, so that it will tell you whether the app has been downloaded from Play Store or not. I'll save this. Okay, I'll add some font size to all three of them. So I'll go to theme overrides, font size, change the font size to, I don't know, maybe 30. Yeah, it looks okay. So here I will just create a button called get, and here I will create a button called post. Okay, so this is done. Now if you want, like I'm not good at Godot or GDScript, if you want you can call the get API endpoint from GDScript itself, but like I said, I'm not really good at it. If you try to call the API, like the network call of get API endpoint from GDScript itself, then you will have to pass the hash value back to native Android side plugin. That's why I'm keeping the entire logic on native Android plugin side itself, but feel free to do whatever you are comfortable with. Okay, then here I will attach one script as well. We'll come back to the script later on. We'll go back to our Android plugin, and here I will just select right click on this app, new module, select Android library. I will just name it as my library. You can give it whatever name you feel like. Again, the main SDK should be at least 26, and again I'll click on finish. So now let's just wait for this to get created. Again, I'll just go back to my cheat sheet in that time, and let's see if I need to do anything. So in the meantime, what we can do is we can go back to our Godot project. So this is my Godot project, right? Tailcraft. Inside that I will create a folder called add-ons. Inside that I will create a folder with our plugin name. So the plugin name which I'm going to give it is my plugin. You can give it a proper name. I will tell you where exactly we are going to name the plugin, but just for simplicity sake I will just name it as my plugin. Okay, then inside that we have to create a folder called bin, and inside bin we have to create two folders, debug and release. So I will create a release folder as well. Okay, so here we have created that. Then again just come back over here. So this is done. So again I'll just go back at the top. Sorry for constantly jumping, I'm just trying to save time. So firstly we'll have to add this particular dependency. So I'll just copy this. Again, like I told you, I'm using Godot 4.3.0 at the time of me recording the video. If you are using Godot 4.4.0 or higher, you should change this particular version number as well. Okay, so but for now I'll just copy this. I'll go to Gradle scripts. I'll close these two files, we don't really need them. I'll go to the build.gradle.kts of our library, and I'll scroll down and I'll paste it over here. Okay, then I will just click on sync now. So let it download it. Then in the meantime, go to your library, go to Kotlin plus Java, and here we have to create a file called Godot Android plugin. So I'll just create that particular file, right click, new Kotlin class file, name it as Godot Android plugin. Now I will just copy some code. So we will be refactoring this code. This is just for getting set up. Okay, so I've just copied this code and I will just paste it over here. Okay, so these are all the imports. Now our file name will be Godot Android plugin. This is the Godot plugin, and this is the plugin name which I was talking about. You can name it whatever you feel like, but like I told you, if you rename this, you will have to do a lot other changes as well, which I'm going to show you apart from the folder which we had created inside our Godot game project. So it's better you follow what I'm doing. If you're doing this for the very first time, if you're confident what you're doing, just do what you please. Okay, then okay, so I'll just remove this, we don't require this. Okay, and here I will just name it as post signal. You can name it whatever you feel like. Here we are just overriding a method, and this particular method will help us to send data from native Android side to Godot side. Here I will create one method called get hash. So this method has been annotated with @ used by Godot. That's why we can call this particular method from GD script. It will not take any parameter. Okay, and I will remove this part. I will just comment out this part. We don't need to send the hash back to Godot side. Okay, and I'll just copy this and I'll create one more method called check integrity. So here we will be calling the post API. Okay, now I can remove this particular thing. All right, so this is done. Now in a real world application you don't need to create these two methods. Here I have created two buttons, that's why I have created these two methods. You can directly call this code one below the other or one after the other in real world application. Like as soon as your game is launched, you can immediately make a call to your backend API, get the hash, and then immediately call this particular code as well. You don't need to create two buttons. It is just for your own simplicity, or my own simplicity, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so this is done. Then inside Android manifest we have to copy this code. So I'll just go to manifest, android manifest.xml, and I'll just paste this code. Now here we have to make few changes. So this should be your own application name or package name, sorry. So I'll just remove this. I'll go to Godot Android plugin, and this is my package name. I'll just copy this. You have to copy your own package name, and I'll paste it over here. And this is the Kotlin file name which I had created, so that's why I'm using this. Now this should be your own plugin name. So my plugin name is just my plugin, as you can see over here. That's why I'm using the same name over here. Okay, once that is done, we have to create a folder called export scripts template inside the project directory, right? So I'll just go to project, go to my library, and here I will have to create one folder called or a directory called export scripts template. So I'll just create that. Inside that I first need to create a file called export_plugin.gd. I'll just copy this file name. I will right click, new file, and give the name as export_plugin.gd. Sorry. Then I will again copy some code, and I'll paste it over here. Okay, so this is okay. So I'll just, again, this has been copied from the Godot documentation, so you can just copy paste this code. The only thing which you have to worry about, this should be your own plugin name. Rest everything will remain the same. So just to show you the entire file, so yeah, again, make sure you change this with your own plugin name. Rest you can just copy paste it. Okay, so this is done. Then we have to create another file called plugin.cfg. So I'll just copy this, and here I will right click, new file, plugin.cfg, and again I'll just copy this code and I'll paste it over here. So again, this should be your own plugin name. Change the description and author to whatever you feel like. Okay, now we need to write the actual code. So firstly what we need to do is, again, I'll just go back to the Android drop down. So first we'll have to go to build.gradle.kts, and we have to import a few libraries. So like I was telling, you need to paste this particular bit of code. So first one is the Google Play Integrity API. So if there is some higher version available, make sure you can use that. Then this retrofit is for making API calls in native Android application, and this JSON is for converting JSON to JSON to proper data classes in Kotlin. So that's why we use this. Okay, then again you have to click on sync now to download the dependencies. Then here inside this my library I will create two folders. One is for request and second one is for response. So just go new package, request, and here I will create another package called response, and here I will right click again, new Kotlin file, and here I will just name it as a network service. Okay, now first we'll have to go to the request. So if you remember, our post API takes the token, so we need to create a request class for that. So it will be a basic Kotlin data class. So what I will do is I will just right click on this request, create another Kotlin file. I will name it as verify hash request, verify hash request. Okay, and here I will convert it to a data class. And if you remember, our post API takes a token. That's why I have taken token over here. Alright, then we have to create a similar class in response as well. Again, this is for post API endpoint. So again, I'll right click, verify hash response, verify hash response. Okay, so here again I will just replace this. So this is the output format for our post response. So here you can see, like I mentioned, our post response also give data in form of message, but the message I'm getting it in form of string. I need to convert this particular message which is in string format to this particular data class. So this is how the exactly the response from Google Play Integrity API looks like. So again, if you want, you can just copy paste all this code. But yeah, these are all the values which we get. So yeah, feel free to pause the video and just copy paste it. Okay. Next, for get API, we are not passing anything inside the as an input parameter. We are just getting the response back. Again, before I create that particular file, what I want to tell you is, once we get this particular, once we call the post API and once we get the data, it will be in string format. We will be typecasting that particular string to this particular message. So we will get all these properties. Okay. Now again, right click on response, new Kotlin file. Sorry, it should be named as get hash response. Okay, and here again I'll just copy some code, paste some code, sorry, and here you can see it just takes a data class. Sorry, just give me a second. Okay, so I'll just remove this unnecessary space. Okay, so it is a data class, and if you remember, our get API endpoint was also returning message back, so that's why I'm using message over here as well. So hopefully you got the point. Now we need to come back to network service. Okay, so the next step is, again I'll just remove this code inside our network service and paste this particular code. So if you remember, our API endpoint was whatever is your base URL slash API slash users, right? So that's why you have to write slash API slash users for our get request, and slash API, sorry, just API slash users for our post request as well. If you have if your API is located at some different place, you will have to change it. We will be writing the base URL in this Godot Android plugin file which we have created, so you don't need to write the entire base URL over here. Okay, now I will just import this get hash response. So again, this should be your own package name, or don't copy my package name, otherwise again you will get an error. And I'll just paste it over here. I'll import this as well. So yeah, these are all the things which we need to import. Now we need to use this network service to call the API. Again, like I mentioned, if you want to call this network service from GD script side, you can do that as well, but I'm not good at GD script, I'm good at Kotlin. That's why I'm using Kotlin over here. Now we'll have to go to Godot Android plugin. Okay, before I show you the actual code, we also again need to go to Android manifest, and here we have to add this uses permission, internet permission, because we are calling an API. That's why it requires the internet permission. Then again we'll come back to Godot Android plugin. Now here again I have just copied some code, so I will just copy that code and then I'll explain it to you. So I'll just copy code bit by bit and I'll explain it to you. So firstly, you can just copy this code. Again, I'll be adding the import. So first, the standard integrity manager is from the play integrity API, so I'll just import this. You can keep an eye on my imports as well. And so here you can see we are creating this manager as well as this integrity token provider. Now this should be your own cloud project number, so this is not my cloud project number. If you remember, we had copied the cloud project number over here, so I'll just use this cloud project number and I'll paste it over here. Okay, then we are creating an OK HTTP client. So this is from retrofit, and here this is for retrofit, and here you have to import this time unit for time unit as well. So the connection timeout is 3 minutes, and read timeout is also 3 minutes. Okay, Next we need to make use of our network service. So again I'll just copy this and I'll paste it over here. Now this is not my API endpoint. Also I'll remove this. So firstly we are importing retrofit. I will add that. Then this is our JSON converter which I will import as well, and this is our JSON builder which I will import as well. So these are all the imports now. So this is how we will be using retrofit. And if you remember, we had created this network service class. This JSON service is only for converting JSON to Kotlin variables which we can understand or Kotlin language can understand. Now this should be the base URL where you have deployed your API. So I will enter this at the very end. Okay, next what we'll have to do is we have to create one variable for hash. Okay, so I'll just create that particular variable. So this hash we will get it from the get API endpoint. Next we need to initialize the standard integrity manager as well as this particular prepare integrity token as well. So I'll just copy this code, and over here we can just override this on Godot setup completed. Okay, and we can initialize it like this. Then again I'll just import our integrity manager factory as well as prepare integrity token, and here it requires the application context or the activity context is fine as well. So I'll just pass our activity over here. So here we are initializing our standard integrity manager, then we just prepare the integrity token. Then here we just pass our cloud project number, and here our token provider is up and running. So in case if it fails, I'm just displaying a toast message, but if you want, with the help of Signal, you can send a failure message back to Godot side as well, but I don't want to do that. Okay, so here setup is ready. Now next thing is, okay, I need to copy this. So I'll just copy this bit of code. Okay, and here we will go to the get hash method and I'll paste it over here. So first we have to import lifecycle. Okay, I'm not able to import lifecycle. How do you call lifecycle in Godot code? I think it is using something like this with context dispatchers.main, I think so. Let's see. If I do this, no, I think something like this. Then coroutine context, coroutine context. Why is this throwing an error? Coroutine scope, I think. Sorry about this, even I am not able to recollect. Yeah, and this should be on the main thread, and I'll paste it. Okay, why is it still throwing an error? Too many arguments. Coroutine scope. Okay, yeah, something like this. I forgot to use the launch keyword. Yeah, now this is working. So here on the main, sorry, this should not be IO thread, it should be the main thread. So on the main thread we are so this requires a coroutine, that's why we are creating a coroutine. Now internally retrofit will use a background thread, so we don't have to worry about it. So here we are just calling the get method. If you click on this method, here you can see the get hash method. So we don't have to do anything else. And once we get the hash, I'm just assigning it to our variable, and here again we can just display a toast message. If you want, you can send a signal back to Godot side as well with the help of this signal, or just create one more signal if you want, but I don't want to do that. Then here is our coroutine scope. Okay, then again I'll just copy some code and I'll paste it over here, and again I'll just import this. I will import this as well. Okay, just a second, we don't require this coroutine scope over here, so I'll just remove this. I will remove one bracket as well, and I'll paste this over here. I'll import the JSON. Make sure you import message from our own message. So this one, com.coding with nobody. Okay, and we don't require the text view. Instead of displaying, we don't have a text view, we have a text view on Godot side, right? And here I can see, here you can see we can just pass it. Now what was our signal name? Post signal, right? So I will use the same thing over here, and here I will just pass the entire data. So here you can see, I'll just explain the code in a bit. Sorry, let me explain the code first. So this, once this method is called, we are creating an integrity token provider. We are setting the request hash for it. Okay, then we are passing our hash which we got from our get request. Then we are doing integrity token response dot add success listener. Then we create, we get the token out of it, pass that token to our post endpoint. So this is the post endpoint. Once we receive the response, if you remember, the response will have the message property which will be in form of string, but we need to convert it to message, right, which we had defined it over here. So that's what we are that's what we are doing on this particular line. Now this message object has and everything which we defined over here. So all these things. So but what I am interested is in only the token payload external dot app integrity. If you want to check other values, you can do that as well. Now while sending it to Godot side, again this app integrity has a lot of stuff. If you see app integrity dot, it has app recognition, verdict, package name, version code. I will send this entire thing as a string back to Godot side, so this is fine. So I'll just remove this. Okay, and I'll put app integrity over here. And just now this will actually tell you whether the app was downloaded it from Google Play Store, or it was downloaded it from some pirated software, or whether it was side loaded or not. And here also I will change this to activity. So yeah, hopefully till here everything is clear. What I will do, I'll simply scroll up so that you guys can see all the imports which I have added. So you can just copy all these imports which I have. We don't require this dead import, so to remove dead imports, just go to code, optimize imports, and it has removed those dead imports for me. So yeah, I'll simply scroll through this file. Feel free to pause the video wherever you feel like and copy the code. We still need to enter our base URL, which I will do in a bit. Okay, so this is all the code for it. Now let me enter my base URL. Okay, so the next thing which we need to do is I will enter my base URL over here. Now make sure after you enter your base URL, you also need to enter this slash. This is very important. You don't need to enter the entire thing, because if you look inside network service, we have already entered the endpoints over here. So this particular thing only requires the base URL. Whatever is your base URL, enter that. Don't try to use my base URL, it will not work for you, because I will be deleting this application. But the important point is this slash at the very end. This is very important, otherwise some of you might be thinking like, why this is not working for me. Now one more thing I want to mention is like I mentioned at the very start, right, you don't need to call these APIs from Android side, you can call it from Godot side as well. So you can call this API from Godot side, and here once you call it from Godot side, maybe this check integrity will take an hash. You can send this from Godot side to Android side. Then from on the Android side, you can maybe write only this bit of code. Okay, only this bit of code till you get the response token. This again, this post API, you can do it from GD script side as well. It's just that I'm not good with Godot and GD script, that's why I'm doing it on the Android side. So choice is yours how you want to do it. Okay, then we need to go to export underscore plugin.gd file which we have created, and here we need to add few lines of codes as well. Again, I'll just scroll up. Okay, so we need to add this bit of code. I'll just copy this and I'll paste it over here. Now here we'll have to make few changes. So firstly, I don't need this, I will remove this. So this is added because we have added some extra dependency inside build.gradle. apart from the Godot Android dependency. That's why we need to add this bit of code. So what I can do is I can just go to build.gradle.kts. I will just copy this. So first extra dependency which I have added is play integrity API, right? So I'll just paste it over here. Okay, then the second one which I have added, and there is one more, right? So again I'll just come back over here. The second one which I have added is retrofit. If you're not doing API calls from Android side, you don't need to add this. Again I'll just come back over here, I'll paste it, and same thing I will need to do it for JSON as well. I'll just copy this, I'll come back over here and I'll paste it. Now same code I need to paste it for the release mode as well, or for the else clause which you see at the bottom. So I'll just copy this entire thing and I'll remove this one and I'll paste it over here. So hopefully you got the point. Now we again have to go to our terminal. I will cd to my Android project. Okay, and then we have to run this particular command which I will just show you. So this is the command /gradle assemble. So this will create the two AAR files for us which we really need. So now again this will take a little bit of time, so let it do its thing. In the meantime we'll come back to our Godot project. Okay, and I'll just show you we need to copy some code. So firstly I'll just copy these two lines inside GD scripts because we need to initialize our plugin. I'll just paste it over here. Now this should be your own plugin name. So my plugin name was just my plugin. Again I will come back to ready. I will so this is our label as well, right, which we had. So I will the label will display the final output of our post request. Here is our button. I'll go to node. I will attach one press signal as well for first button. Do the same thing for second button as well. Then I will go to ready. Again I'll just copy this code and I'll paste it over here. Okay, now our signal name was different. What was it? Post signal, I guess. Yeah, post signal. So I'll just copy this and I'll paste it over here. Now we need to create this method because this method gets called once our post signal is connected, right? So whenever we send data using post signal from native Android plugin side, it needs to be received on the Godot side. So we need to create this method. This method name can be anything, but yeah, I'll keep it as test signal only. So I'll just copy this and I will paste at the very bottom. So once we get the data, we are just converting it to string and displaying it inside our label. Then for our buttons, I will just copy this and I'll paste it over here, as well as I'll paste it over here. Now our method names are different. So what was our method name for post? I had this check integrity, so I will just replace this with check integrity. Okay, and here I had the method name as get hash, and it also does not take any parameter, so I'll just remove this as well. Okay, let's see. Okay, this is still building. Let's just wait for this to finish. Okay, so my build was successful. So in case if you are getting any error, that means you have done some error inside your Kotlin code, so do revisit that particular part in the video. Now if I go to our Android project, go to my library, build, outputs, AR, and here you should see these two AR files being generated. I will open one more tab for our file explorer. I'll go to play integrity. I'll go to our Godot project, add-ons, my plugin, bin, debug, and here I need to drag and drop this debug AR file to the debug folder. But we need to change the name to whatever is your plugin name -debug.ar, right? So my plugin name was my plugin. So I'll just remove this. So here you can see it is, I have named it as my plugin, right? So that's what I have done over here inside the file name. Same thing we have to do for release as well. Go to the release folder, drag and drop the release AR file over here, and again I'll just change the name to my plugin -release.ar. Next you have to again come back, go back to the my plugin folder, and here you will have to go to inside your Android plugin. You have to go to export scripts template, copy these two files and paste it over here. Okay, then here you should see these two files. Now there is some indentation mistake inside our export underscore plugin.gd, so just open that. And okay, so firstly I'll just improve this indentation. Okay, so I think all the indentation issues are gone. Next, go to project settings, go to plugins, and make sure you check this checkbox. Okay, then I think I have done with all the steps. Now what I will do is I will run first of all we won't deploy it to Google Play Console or Google Play Store. We'll try to run this app directly from the Godot project on our real Android device, because that way we are basically side loading the app, right? So once we call the post API request, it should say something like app not recognized, something like that, which I will show you. So let me run this application on a real device and come back. Okay guys, so here is the output. Now even I have not tested it. Let's see, hope it works. I'll click on this get button, and here you can see I'm able to see the toast message. So we definitely have received the hash from the get API endpoint. I'll click on post, and here you can see unrecognized version. So that's what I was telling you about. We install this app from Godot game engine or Godot project, or for that's why locally. So we have side loaded this app. It is not installed from Play Store. That's why it is showing unrecognized version. Ignore the rest of the text, that is not really important, but you can just align the label properly if you want to see rest of the text as well. That's what I wanted to show. Now we need to deploy this app to Google Play Store. Okay, so the next thing which we have to do is we have to come to Google Play Console, and we just have to click on create app. Now don't worry about creating the app image or screenshots, feature graphic. We don't require that, because we will be deploying our app to internal testing, so that once we deploy our app to internal testing, it will be available to us within half an hour to 1 hour, sometimes even before that. And given that we will be deploying our app to internal testing, it does not require any approval from Google as well. So that's the fastest way to deploy our app to internal testing, to Google Play Console, I mean. Okay, so now let me check what was my app name. So it was Trailcraft, so I will just write it over here. Next you can select whatever app or game. I'll just select app, given that I don't have any game features, but you can select game if you have made a proper game with Godot game engine. And here I'll just select free. I'll select this, and I'll click on create app. Now this will take a bit of time. Let's just wait. Okay, so this is done. Then you have to go to test and release, go to app integrity. Here you will have to click on link cloud project. Here you will have to select your cloud project. So my cloud project is already selected, Trailcraft. If it is selected wrong project for you, make sure you select a proper project. Then click on link project. Okay, I think that should be it. Then go to test and release again, go to testing, go to internal testing. Here you will have to click on create new release. Then here we have to upload our Android app bundle. Okay, so now even I have never deployed or created a release version of Android from Godot game engine. I typically use Android Studio, but I think I know the steps. Let's see. So firstly, just go to your downloads folder or wherever you want to save your release key store. So and just paste this command, So here you can see this is the this is the validity, this is the key algorithm which it will use, this is the alias name. So do remember this name, I have just named it as my name, my game, sorry. And this is the key store name, my game dot key store. So hopefully this will work. I'll just press on enter. Okay, it is asking me for a password. I'll just enter some password. Do remember this password as well. I will re-enter this password. I think I made a typo. Okay, no. And here I'll just enter nobody. These all are optional fields, so I'll just press enter. Okay, why is it asking me again? Name of organization. Okay, I'll just enter everything. Nobody. Name of organization also nobody. City, mi, state, mh, in. Is this correct? Yes, it is correct. I'll just type yes. Okay, and it has generated it for me. Now what I'll do, go to your Godot project, and you will have to go to project, export, click on Android, and here you will have to go to key store. Here we'll have to select the release key store which we have created. So it was in the downloads folder for me, so here it is, my game.keystore. Now I need to give the release user, so I will just enter the password first, search 1693. I don't know what it means by user. What is user? Release user, I think I will just enter nobody. I don't know what this release user is. Okay, now I will click on export. Here make sure you select it as AAB. Okay, and I will just save it to the downloads folder. Uncheck this export with debug, we don't require that debug one. Okay, hopefully this should work. Okay, release username or password is incorrect. So what should be the release user? I think this should be the alias name, I guess. So it was just my game. I just enter this one, export project. I'll click on save. So yeah, it is generating the Android app bundle for me. So let's just wait for this to finish and then I'll come back again. Okay, so it has generated the Android app bundle for me. Also, don't forget to uninstall your application which you side loaded from Godot game engine from your real Android device. Or next I'll go to Google Play Console and I'll just drag and drop this Android app bundle which I have created over here. Now don't leave this page, otherwise it will cancel your upload. Now I know this file size is too big. It's okay, like I have not optimized our file size, that's fine with me. This is anyways a test project, but you can refer to the Godot documentation on how to optimize that as well. Okay, let's just wait. Okay, now it is optimizing it. So here I'll just give the release name as 1.0. One more thing which I want to tell you is if you are generating future releases, so suppose if you made a mistake in your code and you want to rectify the mistake and then again you want to create an Android app bundle, then every time you do that you have to update this version code as well as this version name as well. Okay, so make sure you update it every single time you create an Android app bundle which you are exporting it to or uploading it to Google Play Console. So let me just wait for this to get finished. Okay, so this was done. Then all you need to do is just click on next. I think it will show us some warning. Yeah, so this is fine, I guess. This release will not be available. Yeah, this is fine. There is no contains any or not. Yeah, this is fine as well. Okay, so I'll just click on save and publish. I'll click on save and publish again. Now this will take half an hour to 1 hour to be available to internal testers. Okay, and then how to create testers, you just have to go to the testers tab. Again, as you can see, I have already created the testers. You can just click on this create email list. You can give it some name and you can add the email address or upload a CSV file with all the email address of your testers. Again, those testers should be valid Gmail IDs only as far as I know. So I have already added them. I'll just select all of them and I'll click on save. then you can copy this particular link and share it with your testers. Now again, first once your tester visits this link, they will see an accept the invitation button. Just click on that accept the invitation button. Then I'll show you what are the next steps they have to do. So I'll just copy this link, wait for half an hour or maybe 5 minutes also, sometimes it is available. So yeah, just keep checking. Maximum an hour it will take for the Android app to be available. But yeah, but don't try to search it on directly from Google Play Store. It will not be shown to you. You have to go through this link only. Okay, so my app is available on Google Play Store. So I'm on that link which I just shown it to you. So you have to go to your own link. I have already accepted the invite, and then you just have to click on download it on Google Play. So it will redirect you to Google Play. So here you can see it is unreviewed, and I'll just click on install. So if you remember, if you just saw, the app size was 25 MB, while uploading it was around what 90 MBs. So here you can see with the help of Android app bundle, even without doing any optimization, it has drastically reduced the size of my app. But yeah, it can be reduced even further. I think around 5, at least around 5 MB you can bring it down. So you can reduce more 20 MB, I guess, if you refer the Godot documentation, as well as if you try to use R8 inside your native Android plugin code as well. I think max 10 MB, I guess. But anyways, I don't want to get into that. So let's just wait for this to install, and then I'll come back. Okay, so the app has been installed. Now I'll just click on open. Let's just wait. Hopefully there are no crashes. So here you can see I'm mirroring my device. That's why I'm using Android Studio. Android Studio has a built-in feature to mirror your real device. That's why I'm using that. Now I'll click on this get button. So here you can see I have received this got hash. It took a bit of time because I'm using the free tier of Vercel, and they might be shutting down the server if it is not used constantly. Now I'll click on the post button, and here you can see play recognized. That means the app has been installed from Google Play Store. So yeah, that's it. Hopefully you got the point. If you're stuck anywhere, do let me know in the comments. Don't try to use my credential or my cloud project number. I will be deleting everything. So yeah, sorry about that. But yeah, do let me know in the comments if you face any issues. Thank you for watching. Bye.